Hello, everyone. Yair Spit here, finally back in the field after a week and a half. I've been recuperating at home. Got a bit of a nasty bug that I had to recuperate from, and it took a lot longer than expected. And partially it seems because after being in the field for so long, it takes the body longer to heal. So that's mostly what I've been doing for the last week and a half. But at the same time, it was so nice to be home for a longer period of time, spend more time with the family, with the kids, and be home for the first Shabbat in 6, 7 weeks since the beginning of the war, and have an actual full normal Shabbat meal, singing all of Shalom Aleichem, singing Eshet Chayil for the first time in 6 weeks, in 7 weeks. Having chicken soup for the first time in a month and a half. Divrei Torah throughout the meal, Zmirot Shabbat, just schmoozing with the kids. So things that I didn't even realize how much I missed them. But it was wonderful to be able to have that one Shabbat with the family. At the same time, it was extremely difficult to be away from the soldiers for such a long time. To know that they're still out there in the field, struggling with the conditions, being there on Shabbat, and not being able to be there, experience it with them, and do everything that I do every Shabbat. But there was someone who did it. I have a soldier who's under my command, he's an avrech, and he's also a very capable guy. And I explained to him at length what needs to be done. He put it together. I heard great feedback that he kind of kept the tradition going of everything that I've been doing with the soldiers for the last month and a half. But even so, it was very difficult for me to feel like I'm going on with my everyday life in the comfort of my home while they're here. Especially this past few days ago, Sunday and Monday, there was a terrible, terrible storm, or great storm up north. Tremendous amount of rain and winds, and I could see the videos that the soldiers were sending. The tents, practically all the tents, were completely destroyed. People just standing, huddling, soaking wet through their to the bone in the cold, and there's very, very little that they can do. Struggling to keep the large tents from collapsing. They collapsed. They picked them up, so seeing that and being far away, although I did enjoy at that moment feeling that I'm warm, but to know that I'm missing out on participating with the soldiers was a difficult thing. But now I'm back. Now it's sunny. It's still chilly. The next few days will be cold, but for the next few days there isn't supposed to be too much rain. But it's something small, but seems small. But again, as I've said many times, these are normative soldiers, normative people in their 30s, in their 20s, in the 30s, and the 40s. These are not professional soldiers. These are regular people, like most of the people who are listening to this message right now, and they are moser nefesh on a daily basis, and it's so one of the reasons I wanted to get back as fast as possible. So as I was preparing to come back up north, what's accepted is that you kind of let everyone know what time you're leaving, where you're leaving from, in case there's anyone else who wants to ride on the way up. So there was a certain soldier who lives in Rehovot, so we coordinated that I would pick him up. We had a long 2.5, 3 hour drive, and we had a chance to speak. And one of the things that came up is that on the news they're starting to say that the next few days, next week or two, they're going to start releasing some of the reservists because the intensity of the fighting seems to be going down, and they're going to move some of the troops from down south up north, and then the reservists can start going home. One of the reasons is in order to, with understanding there isn't as much of a need for as many troops, but also because the government is interested in getting as many people back into the workforce in order for the economy to pick up again. So obviously a lot of the soldiers here are talking about it. So on the way up, I was talking to the soldier about it, and he said he seemed upset by it. I said, why are you upset? And he said, look, says, I could have gotten out of this whole miluim. I didn't have to come to this war at all. I was signed up for a course. I work for El Al. I'm on my way to Spain. I'm supposed to be stationed to help head the El Al station in Spain. I was signed up for a course that I could have used to become exempt from this from the war, but I decided that there's no way that I'm not participating. So when I got called up and I was given the choice, I told them I want to come. Says I didn't volunteer to this war just so at the first moment when there's the opportunity for them to send me back home while there are still hostages, while there are still 240 hostages, sitting God knows where. So he says, so if they're ready to send me home, I'm refusing to go home. I'm telling them that I'm staying, and they should put me somewhere else. But that's not why I volunteered for this war. Not for them to send me home the moment there's a chance. And then we would continue talking a little bit, and he shared with me another very touching point. He said to me that he was always saw himself as someone who believes in peace, believes in not categorizing any group based on any collective characteristic. He always believed in looking at the group of people and understanding there's always a mixture of good and bad. Says, but October 7th really woke him up and has really made him challenge some of his basic perspectives on human nature and on life. And he said, I'm still trying to organize my thoughts. He said, but it's clear to me that, this is what he said, it's clear to me that we have to do everything we possibly can, everything and anything we possibly can to make sure that October 7th could never happen again. He says, and I'm here until we do everything that's needed, because if we step back, if we relent, if we don't finish the job, then there'll be another October 7th, and there'll be another October 7th, and there'll be 10 more October 7ths. He said, but, then he went on to say, he says, but at the same time, he says, so I want to fire. I want to be part of the effort for us firing our rockets over there. He says, but unlike other people, he says, this person said, he said, I don't want to see where it hits. I don't want to see who it hits. He says, I don't want to. He says, I don't like seeing the videos of people, enjoying the fact that missiles and bombs are hitting children in Gaza. He says, yes, I want us to fire those bombs, and if needed, it will hit whoever it needs to hit in order to get the job done. He says, but I don't want to see the results, and I don't want to be happy about it, and I don't think people should be filming themselves, glorifying the death of our enemy. He says, I don't want to become that person. I don't want to become like them. So we discussed it a little bit, talked about it a little bit, and one of the ideas that I felt was relevant to share is I told this person, look, there's a parak in Tehillim. This is a Masorti, traditional person. So I said, I imagine you're familiar with the parak in Tehillim, Gam ki elech begei tzel mavet lo irara ki ata imadi. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, because you are with me. So I said, so he said, yes, of course I'm familiar with it. I said, well, the pashut, the simple meaning of it is that even if I am in a dangerous place, I won't be afraid that something bad will happen to me, because you, Hashem, are with me. So that's obvious. That's the simple meaning and the obvious meaning of the verse. It says, but there is another explanation that's given, which is, and it works better in Hebrew. It says, even if I'm walking in a place of evil, lo irara, I won't be afraid that I will become bad. Not just I won't be afraid that something bad will happen to me. Lo irara, I won't be afraid. I'm not afraid that I will become that of the bad thing happening to me. meaning that I will not become bad because you are with me. And I said, this is an important idea. I said, you have two people, who are both doing the same exact action. Two people who are cutting repeatedly, many times, over and over again, that are cutting, using a knife to cut human flesh. I says, but one of them is a criminal who's stabbing people, God forbid, and another one is a surgeon who's healing people, who's saving lives. I said, obviously, the effect of that same action has a tremendously different effect in each one of them. The criminal, each time they do that action of cutting someone, they become more evil. It reinforces their evil doing and their evil character because of the intention behind it. It says, whereas the surgeon, every single time he cuts, it doesn't lower his sensitivity to life. Quite the opposite. It raises his sensitivity to life because he's doing it because he cares about life, because he's trying to save life. So it's to the same degree. I said, it's very similar to what you're saying, I told him, which is that you understand that there's something that has to be done in order to protect Am Yisrael, in order to protect yourself, your children, future generations, the good in the world. It says, but you're saying you don't want to see the negative consequences because you're afraid of the effect. It says, but I'm not saying that you need to look at these things. I'm saying I understand the fear, but you shouldn't be afraid of having any negative or emotional, spiritual results, because the action you're doing is an action of good. And even though the consequences of it might look devastating, at the end of the day, it's aimed at good. You're doing it for a good reason, and you're doing it for the betterment of the Jewish people, of Am Yisrael. You're doing it for the betterment of the world. It is a mitzvah. It is a commandment for us to do. You're even doing it for the betterment of our enemy in the long run. Their great-grandchildren will look back at this and they'll be thankful, hopefully one day, for the fact that we were able to surgically remove what needed to be removed. So it said, so I understand the fear. David HaMelech understood the fear, but David HaMelech said, as long as Hashem is with us, as we believe that Hashem is with us, meaning that we're doing it for the right reason, we're doing it as a constructive thing, we're doing it with that right mindset, then we don't need to be afraid that it will turn us into evil, or that those technical actions will have any negative ramifications upon us. And these two discussions I had with this one soldier just reminded me further what beautiful neshamot, what beautiful souls we have in the form of our soldiers. Mikam Chai Yisrael Goy Echad Ba'aretz. How amazing as Am Yisrael and our soldiers, that these are the things that they talk about, and these are the things that trouble them when they go to war.